Welcome to Illuminating Catholics, podcast of the Diocese of Sioux City. I'm Dawn Prosser, Director of Communications for the Diocese. Together with Carmen Bauer of the Faith Formation Office, we will shed light upon topics of faith in the modern church. Our guests include Catholic clergy, religious sisters, and other experts in their fields to help us understand what's happening in the church today. We will explore issues, even the tough ones, and to find answers to common questions about Catholicism. Thank you for joining us for today's Illuminating Catholics, shedding light to understand the modern church. Welcome back to the Illuminating Catholics podcast. I'm Dawn Prosser, Director of Communications for the Diocese of Sioux City.
And I'm Carmen Bauer, the Director of Faith Formation.
Thank you so much for joining us today for another episode. I believe this is the last one in our second season, and in July we'll start our third season. Can you believe it? So thank you for listening since November 2024 when we first launched the podcast. So we have a special guest today, as sheltering the homeless and feeding the hungry are two of the church's corporal works of mercy. We're going to shine a light on the warming shelter that's here in Sioux City and the good work that they've been doing since 2014. So we have right here with us Executive Director Shayla Moore, and she's going to enlighten us about the shelter, about those experiencing homelessness, and how we can help the most vulnerable in our community. So welcome, Shayla.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Glad it worked out.
So we're so glad that you are here with us today. And before we talk about the warming shelter, can you share with us a little bit about yourself, maybe your history with the warming shelter, your connections there, and then how long you have served as Executive Director?
Yes, so I have been connected with the warming shelter as an employee since 2018. So going on my 8th year here, definitely have seen a lot of changes, a lot of great things happen since the time that I started. I have only been on as the director since 3 years ago, so 2023, and we have made some great strides since then. So I'm really, really proud of the changes that have taken place and just being a part of this great mission.
Well, it's so important that, and we're also blessed when there are people who can step into those roles to serve our community. So thank you for all that you do there.
Absolutely.
So looking back at the history of the warming shelter, Dawn was able to look back into the Lumen archives and found an older article that shared that it opened in December 2014 with 8 guests on the first night. So can you share a brief history of what led to the establishment of the warming shelter?
Yes. So some of you may know our board member and one of the founders, Joe Twidwell. He's very active in the community, and he is a Catholic. So Deacon Joe, he was serving at the soup kitchen, and he was noticing that there were, people that were, coming in for a meal, and then they would just go back out to the elements, and it was really, really, really cold. He was very worried about this specific individual, and he thought, if he doesn't have somewhere to stay tonight, he's going to freeze to death. And so then began the warming shelter. Deacon Joe ended up working a deal with the gal at the time who ran the soup kitchen, and they were able to open up their front lobby area for that individual that night. And that was when it all started. From that time, the word spread fairly quickly, and there was a need. There was definitely a need. There were tons of people that needed shelter that didn't necessarily check all the boxes necessary to access the shelters that were available in the area. And so that lobby then, kind of began serving different people, and the numbers grew. And so after that first year, it definitely outgrew the soup kitchen lobby. And so they then opened at, I believe it was St. Boniface Church, operated there for a period. It was going to be way too expensive to do all of the things that needed done to make the space able to house people overnight. And so in 2015, we actually were able to take over the building where Gordon's pawn shop was. And that is when the shelter began operating here over on Nebraska Street. From that point in time till now, really the numbers of people experiencing homelessness have stayed about the same. Obviously, we're seeing different people. People are kind of flowing in and out, so that need has really remained the same. At the time, Joe was unaware that we were actually having 3 to 5 deaths per year in our city, in Sioux City, because people didn't have a safe place to go and they didn't qualify or meet the criteria for the shelters in the area. And so really it started with one person, but it was very clear that there was a need, grew very quickly, but the numbers really tell a story that there's always been the need, and we just needed somebody to serve that need.
Thank goodness that you did.
Yes.
What would you want those listening to know about the individuals who stay at the shelter?
So I always like to tell people these are some of the most incredible individuals who really have quite just long history of just different stories. Not any story overlaps. Like you'll hear so many different stories as to why they've become homeless, why they're in the situation that they're in. But a common denominator is these people are all just such kind souls. They need a helping hand, someone to believe in them, someone to encourage them, and someone to just help them kind of build those foundations. I was raised in a home where my parents taught me the most basic things, cleaning up after myself, how to fill out paperwork, how to, take a phone call, and just those little basic things I was taught. And I sometimes, I guess, take it for granted because a lot of people aren't taught those things. Some of the failures in the skills that are necessary for, just basic living weren't really under anyone's control that is experiencing this. And so a lot of these folks are really great people. They just need someone to be positive, pour into them, and just let them know that someone cares. Many of the folks that we serve don't have a real positive support network. And so that is something that, that really will tug at your heartstrings. However, we have the most incredible staff members at our shelter. Many of them do have lived experience with homelessness. In fact, some of them have stayed there in the time that I've been employed with the shelter and been able to, work through the barriers and are doing so very well. And so they're able to pour into them in a way that not very many people could without having that existing knowledge and understanding of what homelessness is. Many of the folks that we serve are doing all the right things. About 90% right now are on our tier 2 and 3. And I'm just going to give you a brief overview. What that means short is they are sober, they are working on their housing plan, and they are taking all necessary steps to improve their situation, but they're kind of in that waiting period. And so we have the ability to work with them and grow them and get them where they need to be so that they're successful long term. And what a privilege, what just a cool thing to be a part of. Many of these people come to us on the hardest days of their lives, and we're able to be that support system and that support network that they just don't have otherwise. And so, we're serving about 120 to 130 people each night. That has been fairly consistent. And I could go on and on about some other things, but I know some of the questions you'll probably ask will ask about those same things. So I won't repeat myself, but people we're serving, they've fallen on hard times. A lot of their situations were out of their control. And the last piece is they're Sioux City natives, so they're born and raised in Sioux City. They're not people coming in from, different states, different towns. And if they are, typically the reasoning behind that is because there's work here and they're promised work, and then they get here and something doesn't, go the way they planned, and they end up without a job. But in those cases, we typically do help them get bus tickets back home where they do have a support system. But many of them, Sioux City born and raised, and they're good people. They're very good souls. Some of the neatest people I've ever had the privilege of meeting have been at the warming shelter.
Thank you for giving us such a warm insight into that. And I think it's so wonderful how what started as just, a place to stay has grown into this system and with these people that does offer that a little bit of support where they might not find that outside of
Absolutely.
community.
It always reminds me of what my parents used to always say, there, but by the grace of God go I, because victim of your circumstances or what you were born into, you just never know what brought people to that place. But I'm sure they didn't say, hey, I'm probably going to end up experiencing homelessness.
Right. Prior to working in the homeless services that I'm in now, I worked in child services. And I often tell people that, the people we're seeing at the homeless shelter today are often the people I seen, when I was working in child services, and they didn't have one caring person to help guide them down the right path. And so we still have that opportunity to be that person, give them some grace, and just show them that someone's willing to pour into them and love on them, even when they don't really feel like they're worthy of that.
That's well put. So people may know that the warming shelter exists, but maybe don't really know how you operate. And you talked a little bit about your tiers, and I know you actually came in, it's TIER, not TEAR. You had come in with your staff, I think about a year ago or so. We had a donation for you from the employees, and you did talk about some of those services. But do you want to just give us a warming shelter 101 about the facilities and what...
I would love to do that. So our organization, about 2 years ago, we had discussed closing because we just didn't have the financial support necessary to remain open at that time. After that happened, we had just a community pouring in of support and how can we, make sure that this exists. So we did an overhaul of our operations, addressing the main things from the community that they were frustrated with. We were seasonal, so we did see a lot of people, working and trying to do their best and get back on track during those 6 months of the year, but then they'd be sent out the door on May 1st. And so a lot of times they would lose all progress and end up back on our doorstep on November 1st. So with that, we also were, listening, and we identified the other concern was that homeless individuals were, using parks and public spaces, and they were using it as a place to stay. And that was frustrating for community members because in their, minds, that's not what those parks are intended for. So we made the decision to operate year round at that time. And when we did that, we did a complete overhaul of our operations and just how we offer services. We're very intentional now in the way that we offer our services, very forward progress based, and very evidence based. So we took models that are used around the world that have been successful, and we kind of lumped them together into this new tiered program. And this tiered program, what it does is it still serves the most vulnerable, the highest risk, the people who might be in active drug addiction, who might have significant mental health needs that are being unmet. It still serves those people because that's always been the heart of our mission, is we're saving lives and we are serving the people that no one else can. So with that though, our services for our tier 1 clients who are higher risk are much more structured, and we are very intentional in the fact that we do not intermix those individuals with our folks that are doing well, which would be our tier 2 and tier 3 clients. The biggest difference in eligibility, if you will, with tier 1s versus 2s and 3s is that they're sober and they have that housing plan. So, once those things are identified and secure, we can move them up to tier 2. Our tier 2 clients are able to stay in the shelter during the day. They are able to access services on a first come, first served basis. And they're able to just kind of, have a place to be, but also work towards those steps to improve their situation, right? So we're going through housing plans with them, and that looks different for every single person we serve, but we make it specific to the person that we're working with. Eliminating those barriers while also building foundations, teaching skills, connecting with resources, making sure that long term these folks are going to have the support that they need in place so that if there is a bump down the road, it doesn't cause them to fall right back into homelessness. They have somebody or some organization to lean into. So like I said, our tier 2s and 3s are able to work with providers during the day. We do have a provider office. They're able to meet with our resource and advocacy liaison, which that is a very, very important resource. She is able to connect them with the appropriate resources to kind of fit that whatever barriers they have. And then she also does the follow through. So she makes sure that she's following up at the appropriate times and that she's going to the community meetings and advocating for our clients when there are spots open in transitional housing in places like that. Our tier 3s, which is our highest tier, the biggest difference is they've been sober for a longer period of time, at least 30 days, no rule violations within 30 days, and that they're doing their housing plan. And the biggest difference here is that our tier 3 clients are given back more control of their situation. So I mentioned that our tier 2s are on like a first come, first serve basis with services. Our tier 3s have a little bit more seniority. They're doing really well. They've proven that they can role model that appropriate behavior and follow through in all of the things. So they're actually able to pick and choose, what time I shower, what time I, go to the back. If I want a certain bunk next to an outlet, I can have that. They're given back more of that control of their situation because they're proving that they're doing all the right things. And so, our mission has shifted a bit, but it still remains the same: save lives, restore hope by, connecting with those foundations, and then rise up. So we're rising alongside our clients as they do what's necessary to improve their situation and get where they need to be so that they're successful and so that they're so very proud of all of that they've accomplished because they're the ones putting the work and the effort in. With that, our tier 1s, they are more structured with the services that they're able to access and when and things like that. But it really does incentivize them to want to do better and not just be okay with their situation. And so it has seemed to be very successful. The program's only been in place for about a year and a half now, but we've seen lots of progress, lots of people doing great things and making great strides, and we're so very proud of our clients.
I think I have seen on your social media so-and-so graduates and here's his apartment.
Yes.
And maybe needed some pots and pans or whatever. Like, that is so huge.
Right.
And they just are always beaming in these pictures.
They are.
And they should be.
Oh, I tell people all the time, my favorite part of my job is looking in someone's eyes and seeing that shift the moment that they start to believe in themselves, because I've always believed in them. I know they can do it, but they don't always believe in that themselves. And so there's this shift. Their eyes just are a little brighter, and they don't just look like hopeless. They're filled with hope, and they know they can do it, and they've done the work. So it's so cool. I love telling people that, and I love to experience it with our clients.
That's just exciting. So I have some basic questions. So you did answer my first question that the shelter is now open all year, which
yes,
thank goodness, that's wonderful. So let's say I'm in a situation and I need some housing. Do people just pretty much come to the door?
Yep.
And is there a certain time when people are allowed in, or how does that work?
Yeah, so our normal business hours are just like any other, regular business, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. However, if someone's needing shelter at 1 in the morning, or if they're needing shelter at 5 in the morning, if they've never come to our shelter and they don't know those rules, they are going to be welcomed in as long as they're willing to be safe. And then the following day, we'll do an intake with them. We'll capture all of their situation and what exactly it is that they need. And then, yeah, absolutely, they're able to stay in as long as they're willing to be safe and kind of work towards those steps to securing, a stable situation and housing long term. We are willing to serve them.
Okay. I was not sure, but I figured it had to be something like that.
Yes.
So you mentioned there's obviously shower facilities. Is there also an opportunity for laundry?
Yes. So I actually brought my list here because
Awesome.
There's so many things we offer that people are like, I had no idea. So yes, we do have a laundry facility. Our clients are able to sign up to do laundry. We do only have 3 washers and 4 dryers. So they do have to sign up, but they're able to do that. We get laundry soap donated, so they don't have to pay anything or bring their own laundry soap. So that's a super nice amenity, if you will. We also have laptops for people who are doing job searching or applying for resources. We have lockers on site. We have quite a few people who are working, and so
wonderful.
they don't want to take everything with them, their bag full of their, basically everything they own. And so they're able to access lockers. We will store medications for them and vital documents. That's a big one. People come to us, and more often than not, they are missing one, if not all, of their vital documents. So we will, of course, help them get those things, but we also very much so encourage them to store them with us while they're staying with us so that they don't get misplaced or stolen. People are able to use our facility as their address. So I know that's not really one that a lot of people think of, but a mailing address is important when you're applying for resources and when you're trying to get back on your feet. And so they're able to get mail sent to our facility. We have different programming, which I'll talk a little bit about. We've got a mentorship program, so they're able to be a part of that and kind of gain some of that positive support system that I talked about. Yeah, there's all sorts of different things. Biggest and most exciting change in the last year is our provider office. So we have providers that are community resources coming on site, and our clients are able to access those resources on site instead of having to find transportation, and kind of that's a huge barrier is just getting there. Sure. And so we have mental health on site, we have employment resources on site, really any resource you can possibly think of that would help someone in this situation. We are working to get them in our doors if we don't already have them. But as of right now, we have quite a few, and they're on site daily during the work week. So that's been a huge, huge blessing, and just so nice for our clients to be able to, access them where they live. And if they need a vital document to finish an application, they can just go over where they're stored. It has been hugely helpful.
So lots of resources, and it sounds like there's a great collaboration.
Yes.
Because I know there's a lot of different services, and
so many,
and law enforcement's involved, and I think the neighborhood services and all that. So we've been to some meetings, and it is great to see all the collaboration, because you're all kind of working toward the same goal, and that's helping people. If I'm not mistaken, there's some kind of relationship with the soup kitchen and getting people.
Yeah, so we actually, one service that we do not offer is meals on site, with the exception of things that are, easy to hand out and already pre-made, so breakfast rolls, that kind of thing. But we do not have a kitchen in our facility, and so our clients actually quite frequently use the soup kitchen for their evening meal. We also partner with the Gospel Mission. They have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, actually, I think 7 days a week right now. And so some of our clients utilize that resource, and both are within walking distance. So how nice is that to have somewhere you can go get a home cooked hot meal and not have to worry about that piece.
You've got so many great things going. And what do you want people to know about the safety of the guests and the staff at the shelter, and how is security part of your operations?
Yes, so safety is, if you ask anyone, our highest priority. If someone's not willing to be safe in our facility, we take that very seriously. We are not willing to serve people who are going to compromise the safety of those around them. That being said, I've been asked so many times, do you feel safe there, or do you fear that anything will happen? Absolutely not. I feel very safe. In fact, all of our clients, if you walk in the door, you can immediately see that it's not an unsafe environment. Is it busy? Yes, it's busy. We serve a lot of people, but there's not violence or violent activity happening. But many of the folks are just, working towards their own situation and bettering themselves and their lives. Even our tier ones, who are the higher risk clients, they come in at 7 p.m. at night and then they leave by 7 a.m. And it's funny, because you'd think that with that group of folks being the higher risk, that there would be things that go on, but they know the expectations, and they know that if they can't be safe, we won't serve them. So, I do my nightly check on my video cameras for the security system, and they're all in bed. The moment they get in the door and get settled, they're laying down going to bed. And so they're not, causing disruptions. These are good people. They might be going through it. They might have significant mental health needs, but they're good people, and they're not doing anything wrong. They're just struggling. So we do not actually have on-site security. We used to, but now that we're year-round, we're able to have trained staff. We don't have to rehire new staff every single year, and so our trained staff, they're trained in trauma-informed care, de-escalation, things like that. And they are such an important piece of what we're doing, because they know our clients, they know what to watch for, they can intervene if things do start to escalate, but it is very, very rare that any type of disruption happens. If it is happening, it's usually a medical thing. We do see quite a few medical emergencies. So there is still, ambulances at the shelter here and there, but the folks that we serve are chronically ill, and that's that's statistically proven. And so we do try to just make sure that we're not abusing that system, and if they don't need to go to the emergency room, that we're getting them connected with the appropriate resources.
Sounds like going year round, and that reorganization that you had is just
outstanding.
It's
been so good. I don't mean to interrupt, but man,
No,
I am just so proud of all the progress and just seeing our clients do so well. Oh, it's such a blessing to be a part of that, and it's so humbling.
Just seems like that continuity of service has really benefited the clients and the staff.
Yes, absolutely.
So, a blessing.
Would you be able to give us some insight into the involvement of different faith communities, maybe in Sioux City, as well as maybe some other groups who come in?
Yes, so we are actually pretty involved, and I guess I should word that differently. We have quite a few different faith communities that are invested and really care for the work that we do. We have different groups from around Sioux City coming in, from churches, also Heelan and Siouxland Christian School coming in. They volunteer their time. They do things like donation drives, anywhere that they can kind of bridge the gap, help with, the costs, because it does cost quite a lot of money to, serve this many people. So we have community churches. We also have, churches from a little outside of this Siouxland community, Mobile, Ponca, Lamar, is all over. We have churches pouring into our work that we do and our organization in any way that they can. And so that's very encouraging. What an encouragement, to be prayed over, to just be loved on by these churches who really care about the work that we're doing and the people that we serve. Our clients feel it, and it helps them feel cared for. So we're very, very happy and just grateful for the folks in the community, including the churches and just community members that do come in and serve our clients and the work that we do.
Well, and as Dawn mentioned in our introduction, as Catholics, it is a corporal work of mercy to take care of those in need. So it's a great opportunity that you provide, too, for those of us who are wanting to live out our faith and make sure we are holistic in doing that and those various facets. So can you share a little bit about how people can help the warming shelter and the guests? What are the different ways that people can be involved?
There are so many ways. So, and each one so very important. We have folks that are, invested and passionate about what we're doing that serve on our board. Deacon Dennis, like we mentioned earlier, Sam Hacker, Dave Ferris, Joe Twidwell, they're all devout Christian Catholics. And so that is one way, investing by being a part of the board, being a part of the decisions and, the route that the organization's going, volunteering on site. There are always, always, always volunteer opportunities for people of all abilities. So, like I mentioned, we have students that come in. There's things for them to do. We have elderly. We have people, who might be in a wheelchair come in, and they're able to make a positive impact regardless of their abilities. I also mentioned our mentorship program, so that's a big one. We are still seeking and recruiting mentors, and what that looks like is, 5 hours a month where you're assigned to a mentor and you're just pouring into them and caring for them and being someone for them to lean into. We're absolutely hoping that we get more people on board for that because we have several deserving clients that need paired with mentors. So the mentorship program, doing donation drives, things like that. Supplies are always a huge need. The amount of toothbrushes and toothpaste we go through, you guys would be very surprised. And then, of course, monetary donations is always a significant help. It costs about $90,000 a month to run our facility. And, all of the things, like I stretch a penny as far as I possibly can. And so any donations that are given in that means are just so very helpful. So there's so many ways that you can serve, and I'm always open to unique ideas too. So if none of those things really sound like your gig, reach out to me and we'll figure it out. We will find something for you to do.
Would you like us to include your email address in our show notes?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So you have it, but I'll mention it, sbecker@thewarmingshelter.com. I am more than open to people emailing me, and usually I try to get back to you within 24 hours. We will get you guys set up with volunteer opportunities. I would be so glad to have you.
And I assume if I send them to the website,
Yep.
they can.
Tons of information.
Okay. We will do that as well.
Awesome.
Because I know there's a lot of interest out there, and you just never know what youth group or what religious education class is looking for a project. And you don't have to be in Sioux City to help. You can can live elsewhere.
You sure can. We welcome all volunteers.
And donations. I'll just say that.
Yes. And we do have a warehouse. So if you're cleaning out your your closet or whatever, and you're like, but it's not winter, we have a place to store it. Please drop those items off. We try to be good stewards, and if we cannot use it, we give it to other organizations that are nonprofit that can. And so that's always a great way to just be a part of what we're doing and serve the folks that we're, providing these services to.
That's good to know. I did not know that either.
Come down for a tour anytime. I tell you.
Reach out, sbecker@thewarmingshelter.com.
Yes.
And we'll put it in the show notes. So as we keep saying, it's our faith that teaches not just the Catholic Church, but Christian churches and our Jewish brothers and sisters as well. Each person made in the image and likeness of God, deserving of dignity. And we are all of us called to help our brothers and sisters, especially those in most need. So we're so grateful to the Warming Shelter. It happens to be here in Sioux City, providing those basic needs for our most vulnerable neighbors. So in this episode, we are so grateful to Shayla, Executive Director of the shelter, helping us shine a light on the good work that you do at the shelter. And I can't believe it's only been around since 2014. So much good work since then, and different ways that we can all assist them in their mission. So thank you so much for coming down here and talking to us.
Yes, thank you for having me. I will come anytime.
All right.
So please reach out anytime. I'd
We'll
be
remember
glad to be here.
We'll remember that.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for listening to today's Illuminating Catholics as we shine a light on the Warming Shelter. New episodes drop each Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts, also on the Diocese of Sioux City YouTube channel, or you can go to lumenmedia.org and listen to any of our podcasts. Thank you for listening to this episode of Illuminating Catholics, shedding light to understand the modern church. Follow us for more episodes on topics of the Catholic faith. For more diocesan news, visit lumenmedia.org.